A month ago, the Marvel Cinematic Universe fan base was absolutely, utterly destroyed. It imploded when news came out that Sony packed up Spider-Man and took him home from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And of course, since then, there's been just an absolute amazing amount of commentary surrounding this. A lot of people out there are saying, no, this was Disney's fault. Others are saying this was Sony's fault. I personally say this was Sony's fault. And the reason why was because they kept Disney and Marvel in the dark for 6 months leading up to the release of Far From Home. They didn't want to negotiate the deal, so Disney came back with an insane over-the-top deal, that 50% thing, trying to restart negotiations, and that was in a Deadline article talking about the situation, giving it more of a further breakdown. This was Sony's fault because Sony wanted to make their own universe. They wanted to play with these toys in a billion-dollar world, and they think they're going to be able to do it. But the thing is, they're not the only one who thinks that they're going to be able to pull it off here, and that's where things get a little bit crazy. SpiderMan Writer thinks Marvel fans are weird for defending Disney over Sony. I'm talking about the original Spider-Man, Raimi Spider-Man Writer. So fans of Marvel Studios are still heartbroken over the loss of Tom Holland's Spider-Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as both Sony and Disney have officially ended their negotiations. However, fans continue to take Disney's side in the fallout. Spider-Man's screenwriter David Koepp has broken his silence, saying he thinks it's weird that fans are defending Disney when the character is ultimately Sony's, which is true. Okay, that is true. But but I do like this little kind of recap of who he is. So for those not familiar with Koepp, the screenwriter is most famous for drafting the script to the 2002 blockbuster Spider-Man. That's not what he's most famous for. I don't even know why. Now, the movie starring Tobey Maguire has since been following along with the web-slinging character ever since its debut in Civil War. So anyway, this is David Koepp. Just so you know, just so you have a visual reference of who we're referring to here. And these are some of the movies that he's written. This is just a sampling. This goes back from 1998 to 2016. War of the Worlds, Secret Window, Panic Room, Snake Eyes, Stir of Echoes, Spider-Man, Zathura, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Angels and Demons, Premium Rush. I'm not even going back to like the early 90s when he wrote Jurassic Park for Steven Spielberg back then. This dude has written a lot of movies. Some of them good, some of them bad. You can take a look at this list and go look him up yourself and be like, yeah, no, he's kind of hit or miss. He's kind of hit or miss. So here's the thing. Let's find out what he says, because this, of course, is going to be interesting right now. In a recent interview with Den of Geek, while the screenwriter was giving an update on some of his current projects in the pipeline, including Indiana Jones 5, Koepp was also asked his opinion of the current debate over Spider-Man fallout between Sony and Disney. Now, he says, I've read a few articles about it. Yes, I understand both sides. Disney wants what it wants, and obviously it's used to acquiring and controlling. But I understand Sony's point of view here, or point of view better. But wait, it's ours. We own it. You can't just have half of it. You can't just take it. So it's a tough situation. I mean, I get it, right? But that's if you don't look at the overall larger aspect of it, where there was 6 months in the dark, and it was a kind of a throw-out way to kind of get the negotiations starting again. And it just kind of failed. And Sony was already going to take their toys and go home. They just left them hanging until the last moment, until they could kill it and come across with some kind of better, they would be treated better in the media. Except it blew up in their face wholeheartedly because they kept shifting the blame. Anyway, he goes on to say here that I think certainly the last couple of Spider-Man movies have been terrific, but the animated film that they did without Disney's involvement was, even more terrific. Which, look, that's true. I will say Into the Spider-Verse was pretty amazing, but that was the talent behind the screen. That was Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Okay, they've proven themselves when it comes to animation. Whatever. Okay, it wasn't a live action movie. It's a lot harder to mess up an animated one. Koepp also went on to discuss the fact that he thinks that fans are looking at Disney like they're some kind of underdog who needs defending, to which he says they're not a plucky underdog. And you know what? He's right. He's absolutely right. They are not a plucky underdog. Disney owns a vast majority now of the industry. They television, movies, comics, gaming, maybe not so much gaming, but definitely everything else. They have a lot of. But Sony is not a plucky underdog. They're not plucky. They're bad at business. This is true. January 30th, 2017, Sony's $962 million entertainment write-down, a cautionary tale for Hollywood investors. This is what got Kaz Hirai to step down. Sony's $962 million entertainment write-down. This had a lot to do with the fact that Ghostbusters tanked, as well as other movies that Sony put out that year did not do well in 2016. So you want to sit there and try to argue that they're plucky. They're not plucky. They're bad at their job. So when you have Disney coming back and saying like, listen, we'll work with you to help you make a lot more money. We want our taste too, which is only fair. I'm sorry. I do not concede the whole, they're not a plucky underdog. No, they're not a plucky underdog, right? They're not. They're bad at business. And that is one of the reasons why we see headlines like this. Spider-Man may return to Marvel due to Apple potentially buying Sony. That is an actual rumor right now. And it's one that's making a lot more sense as days go by. So according to a report by Cosmic Book News, like this was just, I don't like, this is not just for Cosmic Book is not the only one running this article. So anyway, an investor analyst recently claimed that Apple may be out for a major acquisition, and Sony has been listed as a potential candidate alongside studios like A24, Lionsgate, Viacom, CBS, MGM, and Netflix. Look, Sony is the best one. They're the ones in the best position. A24 is a more of an avant-garde indie, production company. Apple could buy them for Apple TV, but I don't know necessarily. Lionsgate is one that does seem more up in the air, likely as well, just because when has Lionsgate put out anything outside of John Wick Chapter 3 that has done well? For a while, Lionsgate was almost untouchable. Lately, it's just been kind of really hit or miss. But in early September, Sony CEO Tony Vinciquerra firmly stated that Sony Studios is not for sale, despite regular press coverage to the contrary. Yeah, okay. That doesn't matter. Hostile takeovers are a thing. Apple's got hundreds of billions of dollars just like sitting in a bank account collecting interest. Like they've got money. They don't. What? He's like, Sony's not for sale. Really? You're not the one in charge of the company. Well, maybe he is actually. If it's maybe he is. I just got that wrong. The Sony boss also discussed the studio's decision to stay out of the streaming wars thus far in terms of the general market. A decision in which he said allows Sony to be more transparent with its creators by not becoming beholden to any platform. And I do respect that, by the way. I do. There's good stuff across the board. Amazon has got The Boys. The Boys is amazing. So just stick with that. I think, and then Netflix has got the Breaking Bad movie, which is Sony. So the Sony boss also, anyway. So Amazon is also said to be considering purchasing Sony Pictures as well. The reason why both companies are suddenly interested is because they both have or are working on streaming sites, but neither has its own theatrical production or distribution model. And that I've brought that up so many damn times. I've speculated that Netflix could be looking into purchasing Paramount. Simply because, for one, Viacom CBS is getting more into the streaming game. That's going to be more their long-term play. And there's a lot more money to be made there. Paramount has been fledgling for a while. We know this. It's not something that's like not known. So there's issues there. There's problems there with everything. And it's something that they ultimately need to work on. But that being said, David Koepp backing Sony. I get it. He's worked with them multiple times. He's got loyalty. I understand that. But he's wrong in this deal. He's wrong in this situation. And if Sony is purchased, the Spider-Man rights go back to Disney anyway. At this point, all they have to do is just like really kind of bide their time. Sony screwed themselves by not renewing the deal, in my opinion. That is, unless their entire long-term plan is to come out and, make as many movies as they can. Venom 2, Morbius, Spider-Man 3, whatever crossovers they want to do. Get the money that they can, destroy the goodwill the MCU is going to offer. Basically, leave Spider-Man beaten and broken for the third damn time. And then go, oh yeah, no, now we're selling it. Here, you can have it back. Don't worry. You can, here's a towel. He can clean himself off in the back room. That's how I view that. I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. However, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below what you got to say about this. Good, bad, other. I want to hear it. Just let it at me. Be sure to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, become a patron, patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Really appreciate everyone chiming in and being part of the conversation. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.